Copart is a online vehicle auction platform mainly for insurance companies who sell totaled cars, connecting professional buyers who want to purchase damaged and used vehicles. So, when a car is involved in an accident or natural disaster like a flood, and the cost of fixing is too high, an insurance company declares it as a total loss. Instead of the insurance company trying to sell the car themselves, they send it to a Copart yard. Copart then stores the vehicle in one of the hundreds of physical locations worldwide, processes the title and legal documentation, and then lists the vehicle on its patented online auction platform called VB3. So, who sells on Copart? While insurance companies make the largest sellers, roughly 80% of the volume, Copart also works with banks and finance companies for repossessions, fleet operations like rental car companies, car dealerships who have unwanted trade ins, and individual owners, people who want to sell their cars for cash. The buyers on Copart has a massive global buyer base of over 190 countries, including dismantlers, people who take the car apart and sell the individual parts, the rebuilders who repair the car to roadworthy status and flip it, and then there's exporters who buy American cars and ship them to other countries where repair labor is cheaper. There are also car dealers who buy off Copart looking for inventory to stock their lots. Copart is primarily a service based business, meaning they don't own the cars themselves, they just facilitate the transactions. They earn revenue through transaction fees, servicing, and membership. They charge buyers annual fees for the right to participate in these auctions. Copart has network effects. They are the aggregator of used car sales. When cars get into accidents, the insurance provider can either repair the vehicle or consider the car totaled. These totaled cars are then sent to Copart to sell to recuperate on the loss. As newer cars are packed with technology, newer cars are more expensive to repair, which causes insurance companies to total more vehicles as repairing is just not as worth it anymore. The total loss frequency in calendar 2015 stood at 15.6% compared to 23.1% in 2025. This makes up the major tailwind for Copart. Insurance companies continue to consider more cars as totaled, which provides Copart constant increasing supply of vehicles to sell. Copart has an unparalleled buyer base, meaning that Copart is the platform of choice to realize the maximum residual value for damaged vehicles. The more value insurance companies can get out of their damaged cars, the lower the bar becomes when it comes to deciding whether a car is deemed total loss or not. So, large auto insurance companies like State Farm, Progressive, and Geico bring approximately 80% of all the vehicles found on Copart's platform. One argument against Copart is the rise of autonomous vehicles. One could argue that autonomous vehicles will cause less accidents, which leads to less totaled vehicles and thus less supply for Copart to sell. However, autonomous vehicles have lots of cameras, sensors, technology that make cars more expensive to repair, which may actually lower the bar even more for insurance companies to consider what is totaled. Having to go and realign the sensors, update the cameras, update the chips may leave insurance companies considering more cars in accidents as totaled in preference for a new vehicle to replace the old one. So, as accidents become less frequent, the cost to repair may continue to increase as cars become more complex, leading to more totaled vehicles. Replacing current vehicles with autonomous ones are also not an overnight movement, with majority of drivers still driving gas cars. And international buyers account for roughly 40% of all the vehicles sold through Copart's auctions in the United States. These international markets, especially third world countries, will buy used American vehicles and repair the car with cheaper labor back home. This is the source of arbitrage between Copart's business model in the sense that a totaled car in the United States can become drivable in emerging countries with much cheaper repair costs. You can easily see stock financials at udomo.com. We can see top line fundamentals go up year over year for Copart. This recent drawback in the stock could be a buying opportunity into a compounding stock. Copart is trading at a price to sales, earnings, and free cash flow perspective discount compared to the historic self. The free cash flow is growing as well to 1.2 billion in 2025. I think this is one of the best charts available on udomo.com. We can compare the growth rate of revenue, gross profit, and net income of the stock compared to the respective industry. Here we see that Copart grew revenue 9.6% in 2025 compared to the specialty business service sector average only growing 2.5%. On average, this sector contracted in net income by 9%, while Copart actually grew by 10.5%. This graph shows Copart has an aggregator play with huge network effects with insurance companies and car buyers. Historically, the past 3 or so years, revenue growth for Copart has been around 10 and 7%. If we assume this growth rate for revenue and apply the historic price to sales of 15, we can expect a stock price of $88.30 if Copart were to trade back at the average price to sales and assuming a annual revenue 2028 of 5.6 billion. That would mean a 166% upside. Perhaps a more conservative, reasonable return would be looking at the price to earnings. Copart historically from 2016 to 2025 traded at a price to earnings of 20.34, with net income growing 10% past 3 years. If we assume this 10% growth, we would expect net income to reach 2.5 billion by 2028. Given the current price of $33 a share and the stock price, if it were to return back to the average of 20, we would expect a stock price of 53, which is a potential return of 60%. Copart is growing their fundamentals faster than competitors while trading at an earnings discount compared to peers. This divergence in stock price versus financials may serve as an entry point for long-term investors. This analysis is not financial advice, and I'm only sharing with you my personal opinion. What do you think about Copart stock? Personally, I like it. Thank you for watching the video. Subscribe if you enjoy this analysis and this content. Check out udomo.com for stock analysis tools, visualizations, and API solutions.